8 Things You Don't Need to Prove to Anyone After 70. Chapter 1. You don't have to keep proving your worth. There is a quiet freedom that can come with turning 70, and it begins when you stop feeling responsible for convincing everyone that your life is good enough. For many years, you may have worked hard to build a reputation, raise a family, earn respect, solve problems, and meet expectations. You may have spent much of your life being the dependable one, the person others could count on when something needed to be done. But after 70, something can change. You may begin to realize that your life does not need to be constantly explained, defended, or compared with someone else's. Welcome to Ageless Wellness TV, where we believe life after 70 can be a time of wisdom, confidence, freedom, and meaningful choices, not a period when you have to disappear into the background. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to Ageless Wellness TV, like this video, and turn on notifications so you can join us for more conversations about living a happier, stronger, and more fulfilling life as we grow older. And if you know someone over 70 who needs this reminder, share this video with them. It may be exactly what they need to hear today. Now, let's begin with something many people spend years trying to prove. Number 1. You don't need to prove that you are still young. You don't have to convince anyone that you can keep up with people half your age. Your younger years had their own beauty. You may have been faster, stronger, more energetic, or willing to take on things that you would approach differently today. But growing older does not mean you have failed at staying young. It means you have entered a different chapter. You don't need to dress exactly like someone in their 20s. You don't need to pretend that you enjoy every trend. You don't need to fill your calendar simply because someone else thinks a quiet life looks boring. You can choose comfort without apologizing for it. You can take your time. You can decide that a peaceful afternoon is more valuable than proving how busy you are. And you can appreciate what your body and mind can do today without constantly comparing them with what they could do 30 years ago. There is a difference between staying active and trying to prove that age has no effect on you. Stay curious. Keep moving. Learn new things. Enjoy yourself. But do it because you want to live well, not because you are trying to win a competition against your younger self. Number 2. You don't need to prove that everyone likes you. At some point, you may discover that being liked by everyone is an impossible assignment. Someone may disagree with your choices. Someone may misunderstand your personality. Someone may not approve of how you spend your time. And that is okay. You can be a kind person without being universally accepted. You can listen to other people's opinions without allowing every opinion to control your decisions. After 70, your time becomes too valuable to spend constantly asking, "What will they think?" Instead, ask yourself a better question. Does this choice fit the life I genuinely want to live? That doesn't mean ignoring the people who love you. Family and trusted friends can offer wisdom that is worth hearing. But listening is not the same as surrendering your identity. You have lived long enough to know that approval can change quickly, while peace of mind is something you build from within, so you don't have to prove that everybody likes you. You simply need to live with honesty, kindness, and self-respect. Chapter 2. You don't have to prove you can do everything alone. There is another pressure many people carry into their later years. The feeling that accepting help somehow makes them less capable. But needing assistance with something does not erase everything you have accomplished. Number 3. You don't need to prove that you can handle everything by yourself. You may have spent most of your adult life being the person others depended on. You solved problems, raised children, managed a household, worked through difficult seasons, and found ways to keep going when nobody else knew how difficult things were. So when someone offers to help, your first reaction might be, "I can do it myself." Sometimes you can, but you don't always have to. If a family member offers to carry something heavy, let them. If a friend offers you a ride, consider accepting it. If someone knows how to handle a complicated task more easily than you do, there is no shame in allowing them to help. Your independence is not measured by how many things you refuse to accept help with. True independence also means knowing your own limits and making sensible choices. Think about it this way. If you spend all your energy proving that you can do everything alone, you may have less energy left for the things you actually enjoy. There is nothing embarrassing about saying, "Thank you." That would be helpful. In fact, accepting help can strengthen relationships because it gives other people an opportunity to contribute to your life. You have spent many years giving. You are allowed to receive as well. And remember, asking for help does not mean handing control of your life to someone else. You can accept assistance while still making your own decisions. That is not weakness, that is wisdom. Number 4, you don't need to prove how successful you were. Another thing you can let go of after 70 is the need to constantly demonstrate your achievements. Perhaps you had an important career, perhaps you built a business from nothing, perhaps you raised a family while working long hours, perhaps you quietly supported other people for years without receiving much recognition. Whatever your story is, you don't need to keep displaying your accomplishments to prove that your life mattered. Your value is not sitting inside an old job title. It is not hanging on a certificate. It is not measured by the size of your house, the car you drive, or how impressive your past sounds when you tell the story. Your achievements are part of your history, but they are not the entire definition of who you are. There is also a quieter kind of success that becomes important later in life. Success can be having people you trust. It can be maintaining a peaceful home. It can be having enough time to enjoy a hobby you once postponed. It can be being the grandparent who listens. It can be having the freedom to decide how you want to spend an ordinary Tuesday. These things may never appear on a resume, but they can make life deeply satisfying. So if you have already built something meaningful, be proud of it. You don't need to keep proving it. And if your life did not turn out exactly as you once planned, that doesn't make your story a failure either. You are more than your accomplishments. After 70, perhaps one of the greatest achievements is simply having the freedom to decide what matters to you now. Chapter 3. You don't have to prove that your life looks impressive by the time you reach 70. You may have learned that appearances can be surprisingly expensive, not necessarily in money, but in energy. Trying to maintain an image of having the perfect life can quietly become exhausting. And after decades of meeting expectations, you have every right to decide that looking impressive is no longer one of your priorities. Number 5, don't need to prove that your life is always exciting. Your life does not have to be packed with trips, celebrations, visitors, or activities every week. A quiet day is not a wasted day. Maybe you enjoy sitting near a window with your morning drink. Maybe you like tending to a few plants, listening to music, reading, cooking something you enjoy, or having a long conversation with someone you care about. These moments may look ordinary from the outside, but ordinary does not mean meaningless. There is a difference between being bored and being peaceful. Sometimes you don't need another event on the calendar. You need an afternoon where nobody is demanding anything from you. You don't have to prove that you are having a fascinating life by constantly being busy. And you certainly don't need to compare your everyday life with the carefully selected moments you see other people sharing. Someone else's holiday photograph doesn't tell you whether they are happy. Someone else's busy schedule doesn't mean they have found more meaning than you have. Your life can be simple and still be rich. In fact, after 70, simplicity can become one of life's greatest luxuries. Number 6, you don't need to prove that your home is perfect. There is also no prize for maintaining a home that looks untouched at every moment. You may have spent years keeping everything organized for children, relatives, visitors, and guests, but your home should serve the people who live there. If your favorite chair has become the place where you read every afternoon, use it. If the dining table sometimes holds your books, puzzles, craft supplies, or newspaper, that is okay. If you prefer comfort over decoration, choose comfort. Of course, keeping your surroundings reasonably clean and safe is important. But there is a difference between caring for your home and allowing perfection to control you. Your house doesn't need to look like a magazine before you invite someone inside. The people who genuinely care about you are coming to see you, not inspect your furniture. And if you live alone, You certainly don't need to maintain an imaginary standard for visitors who may never come. Make your home feel welcoming to you. Put the things you love where you can see them. Keep photographs that bring back good memories. Create a corner where you can relax. Let your surroundings reflect the life you have actually lived. After 70, your home doesn't need to impress strangers. It should give you a place where you can breathe, feel comfortable, and be yourself. That is far more valuable than perfection. Chapter 4. You don't have to prove that you have everything figured out. One of the surprising freedoms of getting older is realizing that you are allowed to change your mind. You don't have to have every answer. You don't have to know exactly what the next 5 years will look like. And you don't have to pretend that you have life completely figured out simply because you have lived for 7 decades. Number 7. You don't need to prove that you always know what you're doing. There is a strange expectation that older people should always have the answers. Family members may come to you for advice. You may be the person everyone expects to remain calm when something goes wrong. And while your experience gives you valuable wisdom, it doesn't mean you must know everything. The world changes, technology changes, families change, financial circumstances change. Even your own interests can change. So if there is something you don't understand, you can say so. If you don't know how to use a new device, you can learn. If you need someone to explain something again, ask. There is no embarrassment in being a beginner at something you never had the opportunity to learn before. Imagine a 72-year-old who decides to learn how to use video calling because they want to stay connected with family members who live far away. They might feel awkward at first. They may press the wrong button. They may need help more than once, but eventually, they can have a conversation with someone they love from across the world. That isn't something to be embarrassed about. That is growth. And growth does not have an age limit. You are allowed to say, "I don't know yet." Those 2 words can open the door to learning instead of closing it with pride. Number 8. You don't need to prove that you will never change your mind. Perhaps you made a decision years ago, and everyone knows you have always felt a certain way about it. But circumstances change, your priorities change, sometimes your understanding changes, and you are allowed to change with them. Maybe you once believed you would never travel alone, and now you feel ready to take that trip. Maybe you spent years saying you were too old to learn a new hobby, and now you want to try painting, photography, dancing, cooking, or another activity. Maybe you always said you would never move, but your needs and priorities have changed. Changing your mind doesn't automatically mean you were wrong before. It can simply mean you have new information. Think about how much you have learned since your 20s. Why should learning stop now? You don't owe anyone a lifetime commitment to an old version of yourself. You can say, "I used to think that way, but now I see things differently." That is not weakness. It is evidence that you are still thinking, still observing, and still growing. And perhaps that is one of the most beautiful things about life after 70. You can finally give yourself permission to evolve without worrying so much about whether other people recognize the change. You don't have to prove that you have everything figured out. You only need to remain open enough to keep discovering what works for you now. Chapter 5. You don't have to prove that your choices made sense to everyone. There is another kind of pressure that can become surprisingly heavy after 70. The pressure to explain every choice you make. You may find yourself giving long explanations about where you live, how you spend your money, who you spend time with, what you do during the day, or why you have decided to do something differently. But not every personal decision needs a courtroom defense. A choice doesn't have to be popular to be right for you. Perhaps you have decided that you would rather spend money on experiences than possessions. Perhaps you want to simplify your belongings. Maybe you prefer a smaller social circle because you value deeper relationships. Maybe you enjoy staying home more than attending every gathering. Or perhaps you have discovered an interest that nobody in your family understands. As long as your decisions are thoughtful and safe, they don't have to receive universal approval. There is a difference between listening to sensible advice and constantly seeking permission. You can listen carefully, consider another person's point of view, and still decide differently. That is part of being an adult. And after 70, You have earned the right to recognize what fits your life now. You don't need to prove that you still have big plans. Another pressure is the idea that your future must look ambitious for it to matter. But a meaningful future doesn't have to involve a huge achievement. Maybe your goal is to finally organize your family photographs. Maybe you want to grow vegetables. Maybe you want to visit a place you have never seen. Maybe you want to spend more time with your grandchildren. Maybe you simply want to create a calmer daily routine. Those goals may never impress a crowd, but they can bring genuine satisfaction. Your dreams don't have to be large enough for other people to admire. They only need to be meaningful enough for you to pursue. And there is something else worth remembering. You don't have to announce every plan before you begin. Sometimes keeping a personal goal quiet allows you to enjoy the process without worrying about whether other people think you will succeed. Let your actions speak when you are ready. You don't need to prove that you are always productive. For much of adult life, productivity can become a measure of self-worth. You work, you accomplish something, you move on to the next responsibility, but eventually, you may discover that resting is not the opposite of living. There are moments when doing less is exactly what you need. Reading for an hour isn't wasted time. Sitting outside isn't wasted time. Having an unhurried conversation isn't wasted time. Taking an afternoon to enjoy music, nature, or a favorite hobby isn't wasted time. You don't have to finish a long list every day to deserve a good night's sleep. After 70, your time has a different value. You can still accomplish things, but you can also appreciate the moments between accomplishments. A day doesn't have to be productive from morning until evening to be a good day. Sometimes a good day is simply one in which you felt peaceful, connected, curious, or grateful, and nobody else gets to decide whether that was enough. Chapter 6. You don't have to prove that your life still has purpose. Perhaps the most important thing you don't need to prove after 70 is that your life still matters. You don't need a new job title. You don't need a major accomplishment. You don't need thousands of people to know your name. Purpose can become much quieter as we grow older, but quiet does not mean unimportant. It can be found in the person you call every Sunday. It can be found in the garden you care for. It can be found in the advice you give when someone genuinely needs it. It can be found in teaching a grandchild something you learned many years ago. It can be found in volunteering, creating, learning, encouraging someone, or simply being present for the people who matter to you. You don't have to earn your right to enjoy life. There is sometimes a feeling that enjoyment must be deserved. You finish your responsibilities first. You help everybody else first. You save for later. You postpone the things you enjoy because there is always something more important to do. But what if you stop postponing every little pleasure? You can enjoy your favorite meal. You can listen to music that takes you back to a beautiful memory. You can sit outside and watch the evening sky. You can laugh with an old friend. You can take yourself somewhere simply because you want to go. Enjoyment is not a reward reserved for people who have completed every responsibility. You are allowed to experience happiness along the way. You don't have to prove that you are important to everyone. Your circle may become smaller over the years. Some friendships change. Some people move away. Some relationships naturally become less frequent. That can feel strange, especially if you remember a time when your phone seemed to ring constantly and your calendar was full. But the size of your social circle does not determine your importance. One genuine friendship can be more meaningful than dozens of shallow connections. One person who listens to you can matter more than a room full of people who barely know you. Don't measure your life by how many people need you every day. Measure it by the quality of the connections you still have and the love you are able to give and receive, the final freedom. So let's bring everything together. You don't need to prove that you are still young. You don't need to prove that everyone likes you. You don't need to prove that you can handle everything alone. You don't need to prove how successful you were. You don't need to prove that your life is exciting or that your home is perfect. You don't need to prove that you always know what you're doing. And you don't need to prove that your choices, dreams, or way of living make sense to everyone else. Most importantly, you don't need to prove your worth. You have already lived a life filled with experiences that cannot be measured by someone else's standards. So perhaps this chapter of your life is not about proving more. Perhaps it is about living more honestly. Choose the people who bring peace into your life. Make room for things that genuinely interest you. Ask for help when you need it. Try something new when curiosity calls. Rest without feeling guilty. Laugh without needing a reason. And stop measuring your life against someone else's definition of success. After 70, you don't have to perform for the world. You can simply be yourself. And if you needed permission to do that, let this video be your reminder. If this message meant something to you, please like this video, subscribe to Ageless Wellness TV, and share it with someone who may need to hear it today. Thank you for spending this time with us. Until our next video, remember, your age does not reduce your worth. Your quieter days are not wasted, and your life does not need anyone else's approval to be meaningful. This is Ageless Wellness TV, helping you live wiser, stronger, healthier, and happier at every age.